Bishop Kieran, how serious a problem do you think the latest allegations coming out of Holland and Germany and Italy are for the Catholic Church?
I think any allegation of child abuse perpetrated by priests is a problem for the Church, because it's real, it's reality, we can't deny it, and it's going to damage the relationship between many individuals and their Church in the way that it's damaged the individuals who are the victims of the abuse. We can't deny it.
Do you think it's being exaggerated?
Probably not. I think what we'll find is that the number of cases will actually grow. That no, we can't pretend that this is something we can ignore, dismiss, because the Church is one of the great moral, if you like, champions in terms of its own rigid moral codes. And when it fails, then it deserves to get hit.
And how badly has it failed?
Well, it's failed if it's not been vigilant. One of the problems is that you cannot supervise strictly any individual. And so there are people doing things that we just don't know about. But if it turns out that someone did know something and didn't take proper steps, then the problem is much more serious.
Do you see any permanent damage? Do you think the Church can recover from this?
It probably can. Again, it depends on how it deals with it. And the sort of the climate in which the problem is emerging. So, for instance, in this country, I think the Church dealt with it fairly effectively and fairly quickly, and so I don't think it's engendered much deep-rooted hostility here. But in other parts of the world, I think that's less true. There are parts of the world where I think it has done lasting damage that might take generations to repair, if indeed it is repairable.
Such as Ireland?
Possibly, yeah.
The latest allegations concern the Pope himself. Do you think that he's been unfairly maligned?
Well, I think it's easy to sort of hype a story by dragging in big names, but we can't make judgments one way or another about that. We'll have to wait to see what comes out of Germany and their own investigations, and just hope that there's a proper and decent, thorough investigation.
And do you think there's a link between child sex abuse by priests and the rule of celibacy?
Now, most serious psychologists would say that celibacy has nothing to do with child abuse and vice versa. That child abuse as an inclination is fixed probably very early on in a person's development, in their own childhood or early teens. So it's nothing that happens in adulthood will affect that person's inclination. The inclination is already there, but the difficulty is that with adulthood, then there is the opportunity created by the individual to exploit and to practice that inclination.
And if the Church doesn't recover from this latest series of exposés, what then?
Well, the Church will have to, in a sense, put its own house in order. I don't think it's not going to lose everybody, because there's always going to be a hardcore of people who say, well, we've been through bad times before, we've been through persecution, our own internal failures, we've been through this and that. The Church will survive, but depends on what damage will be done and how badly it is holed beneath the waterline, as it were.
I mean, so there are some people who believe it's all one big media conspiracy to destroy the Church.
No, I don't agree. I don't think there's a media conspiracy. There's a media conspiracy just to get a good story, and that's what the media does. I don't think the media is that well organised to sort of pool its efforts to destroy an institution, and I don't see that there's any purpose in the media destroying an institution, because it is a fund of stories, and so why kill your golden goose with the goose that's laying your golden egg?
So hold between the waterline, that's quite a strong analogy. Do you think it is hold in that way?
Well, it is possibly, and hold beneath the waterline means that it's limping along to a certain extent, but as with most holds beneath the waterline, once you know it's there, you can get about fixing it, but it will take time.
In time for the Pope's visit?
I don't think the damage done here will be significant. I think the Catholic community, and indeed the community at large, are going to welcome Benedict when he arrives in September.
And of course, when I mentioned allegations concerning the Pope, I wasn't implying that he was in any way involved in abuse himself, but there'd been a story that had come out of his former archdiocese in Munich about a priest who had allegations against him and was given accommodation in the Pope's Archdiocese at that time, and that's obviously all that concerned. And it appears when he went back into pastoral work, that was without the knowledge of the Pope.
Yes, he would have to look into any allegation made and examine it properly. But I think one of the problems with historical allegations is that the language used very often wasn't very precise. Nowadays we've got a good handle on paedophilia, child abuse. But in those days, the way it was reported was sometimes quite vague, it was suggestive, it wasn't clear even to the parents of children, what was really happening and what they should do about it, what they should call it. And of course there'd be a reluctance also to confront the church with allegations like this. I think all those things have changed now, so we've got a much more open, direct, honest process to look at things. And it's interesting that it's taken years in these countries now for these stories to emerge.
Because so many of the cases are historic, aren't they?
They tend to go back 20, 30, 40 and even longer. And it's the same in this country. But something suddenly opens the floodgates. And it'll happen in other countries. There'll be a ripple effect through the rest of Europe, and then it'll spread as other cultures begin to acknowledge that it is a universal human. It's not a new problem. It's not a modern problem. It's bedeviled humanity, I think, since the beginning. Human beings, have not fundamentally changed since the beginning.
Well, it's your job to change them, Bishop, or to show them the way to change.
It's our job to change behaviour. We cannot change inclination. We can only change behaviour.
Well, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.